Ever since its release in 2013, Spelunky has been one of the biggest names in the roguelike genre. Sure, it may not have reached the sales numbers of some other well-known titles around the time, like Risk of Rain or Rogue Legacy, wow, 2013 was a great time for roguelikes, or match the incredible mainstream success of Hades, but for a while it was nearly impossible to have a discussion about the genre without someone bringing up the name. Derek Yu's insane combination of roguelike and platforming elements was supported by a charming art style and an incredible soundtrack, Eric Surk is literally God, and it led to a game that seemed almost inescapable at the time. However, it's been a full decade since then, all the titles I've mentioned have seen their own sequels, kinda, and you don't really hear people talk about the game much anymore. But I haven't stopped playing it. For whatever reason, I've simply found myself incapable of putting these games down, no matter how much time passes, and the purpose of this video is to figure out why. Oh, quick note, most of the footage is going to be from Spelunky 2 because my recording software and Spelunky 1 do not mix very well, but moving on. So what is Spelunky? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's a roguelike platformer, and before we do anything else, we really need to analyze that categorization. So, roguelike, that's easy. It's a randomly generated series of challenges meant to be replayed over and over again, with slightly different enemies and items each time. Platformer, your standard Mario-type stuff, avoiding falls into nasty spike pits, defeating enemies by jumping on their heads, and water levels that make you sad. Both of these classifications have pretty clear-cut components, but how would you combine the most important aspects? The random generation and the, well, platforms. If you've ever played Mario Maker, you know how easily a level can become unfun, or straight up impossible, with the smallest of additions, so how do you keep the feeling of randomness without individually creating 1,000 different levels? Well, you kind of can't, but those levels don't have to be as big as you think. An individual level in Spelunky is generally made up of 16 handcrafted mini-levels in a 4x4 grid, all with different combinations of exits on their 4 sides. The placement of these mini-levels is mostly random, but they are programmed in such a way that the various paths between them will always make a line from spawn to the exit at the end. Within them are more bits of randomness, with different combinations of enemies, treasures, and traps being thrown in at select points. This is all well and good, but on its own, it has a good chance of rendering several portions of the map completely inaccessible. The developer, realizing that not being able to access half the game would be horribly unfun, provided the player with the tools to remedy this. Bombs and ropes are your greatest friends in Spelunky, letting you climb up into rooms above you and bomb your way into those to the side and below, and also above if your timing is good enough. These tools offer a way to break your way into other parts of the level, as well as being a sort of soft lock protection. You can and will run out of these eventually, so you can't just bomb your way straight through the ground to skip every level, but shops and item boxes can often be found to refresh your supply, along with a few items that can outright replace them if used correctly. So now that you have a general idea of what the game is, I can talk about a key component that makes Spelunky Spelunky. It's hard. Now, most roguelikes are hard. The genre is predicated around the idea of new players trying and failing at the same levels, with a few twists, over and over again. Making a game like that easy to beat wouldn't give the player motivation to keep playing, but the reason I bring it up here is because of how important to the play experience this difficulty is, especially at 2 distinct points: the beginning and the end. The mines in Spelunky HD and the dwellings in Spelunky 2 are where new players are going to spend most of their time. They share a lot of the same aspects, with bats, snakes, and arrow traps making up the majority of obstacles to the exit at the bottom. Now, with other roguelikes, once you've gotten a handle on the mechanics, you don't really expect to fail a run in the first world. You'll almost always reach the Promenade of the Condemned in Dead Cells, or complete the first teleporter event in Risk of Rain 2. But I wouldn't bet money on my personal ability to make it out of Spelunky's first world on my first try. There are several reasons for this. It's partially because of Spelunky's penchant for one-shots, with spikes, explosions, and good old-fashioned gravity dealing more than enough damage to end a run, but in reality, I just think these starting levels are designed to be on the harder end, even when compared to other Spelunky levels. Take the traps, for example. In the jungle, we have these totems, which are nice and predictable, and in the second game don't even kill you in one hit. The dwellings have this. Take the golden idol trap that, worst case scenario, might cost you a rope if you're too slow. The mines do this. Take the level moods, which in the jungle might add fragile zombies or some fish at the end. The very first level in the game has this. The game doesn't go easy on you at the start. It does the opposite, throwing you straight into the deep end and cannonballing on top of you. You will die over and over and over on these levels. Hell, I die over and over on these levels, and God knows how many hours I've spent in them. But this is a good thing. Or, well, for me it is anyways. Even though I'm running the same starting area over and over, run after run, it'll still provide a challenge that could very easily end with me defeated, and I never have to wait to get to the hard stuff like I would in other games. I can jump right into the thick of things, no extra health, no items, and get my butt kicked if I'm not careful, all in the very first level. But what about the others? I mentioned that the first world is harder than the second, and I still think that holds true for the third, but what about the fourth? The secret fifth? The super secret sixth? The ultra secret seventh? This is your official spoiler warning. I'm not just going to talk about the ending, I'm going to talk about the secret ending, the 100% ending, the get all the little secret doodads and put the key in the hole and sacrifice your favorite pug to the blood gods ending. So if you're at all interested in playing this game, get out of here and go do that. If I don't see a significant drop in viewer retention right here, I'm going to be very happy that so many people have already played this game. It's a great game, very fun. But that ending, though. Cosmic Ocean is the final challenge of Spelunky 2. 94 straight levels of orb-popping, cosmic jellyfish-dodging lunacy that I, with my hundreds of hours in the series, have never beaten. Steam doesn't have an achievement for this one, and for good reason. Nobody should ever be pressured for any reason into completing the Cosmic Ocean. It almost seems like it was put in as a joke. Base Spelunky 2 has, leading up to the start of the challenge, only 22 levels, so expecting someone to do over 4 times that many, but without the carefully generated level structure and much more potential to fall into the infinite abyss? That's just insane. The time and focus required to pull off such a feat is incomprehensible, and several people have done it. I am not one of those people. I probably won't ever be one of those people. I frankly don't have the motivation to stay focused that long, but I do think it's a good ending. If you just want to beat the game, there's a boss at the end, and if you want to get a secret ending, there's a secret boss. But the fact that at the end of all of it, there's this insanely massive challenge that doesn't even reward you with an achievement, well, it helps give me a feeling that I've never truly beaten the game. Maybe one day I will. I'll get a super lucky run and be in just the right mood to play properly for 2 hours straight, but honestly, I hope I don't. Cosmic Ocean gives me a goal, no matter how unattainable, to shoot for whenever I boot up the game, and I have no doubt that having a goal forever just out of reach is a big part of why I keep coming back to Spelunky 2. But what about the other one? Spelunky HD doesn't have a Cosmic Ocean, why do I keep playing that one? And I myself said that I'm not really focusing on actually beating Cosmic Ocean, so that can't be the entire reason I'm still playing these games. But if I'm not playing for the ending of the game, I must be playing for, like, the journey or something, but that sounds like a really good video title. Okay, I'm not doing that, both because that title is definitely way too long, and also because I, again, don't think it's the entire reason. It is worth talking about, though. While reaching the final level of 799 might be the ultimate goal, the path I take to get there can vary wildly from run to run, and I might not even be trying to reach Cosmic Ocean. Remember, Spelunky is a roguelike, which means 1, the levels are random and at least somewhat new each time you play them, and 2, the developers knew you'd be replaying them a lot and threw a crap ton of stuff in there for you to do. This is world-renowned vampire hunter Van Horsing. He's hidden behind a locked door in the volcano area, and if you free him, you can follow him to Vlad's castle by either using a special item from a locked chest in the first level to drill downwards, or just using way too many bombs, where he'll kill Vlad, giving you a fancy crown and Vlad's cape. If you then go to the Egyptian level by beating the optional second phase of the Olmec fight, where he uses alien tech to fly and shoot bombs at you, he'll give you an alien compass you can use to find the secret door literally off the screen in the ice caves to access the alien mothership, where you can find and fight the alien Queen Lahamu to access the most powerful gun in the entire game. You don't have to visit the mothership, you don't have to meet Van Horsing, you don't even have to visit the lava levels he's hidden in. All of this is so incredibly optional that I make my way through this whole questline less than once out of every 100 runs. But it's all there, and it's rewarding. The plasma cannon is the best gun, and Vlad's cape is debatably the best item in the game, but it's only one of the options this game gives you. Maybe instead you use a magic Ankh in the City of Gold to enter the underworld and fight Anubis II and Osiris for a jetpack and a magic tablet. Maybe you destroy the Death God altars and team up with the chaos-loving Beg, cursing yourself to permanently stay at 1 health so he gives you a magic crown that teleports you and gives you infinite bombs. Maybe you do all 3. This is where I'd put the footage of me doing all 3 if it was possible, but you know, there are different paths and you can only choose one, and just kidding, it's super possible, it's just way too hard because you have to curse yourself and the crown makes you teleport into walls, and there are like 5 other steps for those questlines that I didn't even mention that also cause several problems when mixed together, but it's possible. A key aspect of the game that complements the various questlines are the sheer number of impactful choices you can make. Starting in Spelunky 2, the levels split, giving you the choice between the jungle or volcana, 2 vastly different areas with wildly different contents, both of which are followed by the choice to travel to the Egypt-inspired Temple of Anubis or the ruined city in the tide pools. While these could be considered the biggest choices, they affect maybe too much for me to analyze for this video. However, I can cover the risks and rewards of what I consider to be the most well-designed decision that you have to make every single run: how to deal with shopkeepers. It's nothing new at this point, stealing from a video game vendor. Gungeon did it, Skyrim did it, you've almost definitely seen it before. Any kind of role-playing aside though, it's generally a pretty simple choice. Most of the time you'll know whether a quick bit of burglary is worth it or not without too much thinking. In Spelunky, however, there are simply so many things to consider that once or twice I've even paused the games to get all the factors straight in my head. Let's run through a quick example to prove my point. This is Bob's specialty shop. He's selling bombs, and I want them. But this is the second level, and I'm poor, so I have a choice to make. To steal or not to steal? Let's cover the situation. First of all, what are my plans for this run? Well, my goal was to head to the Black Market, which is a location that's more or less required if you're going to the Cosmic Ocean and taking the jungle path. One of the main reasons I do this is to ensure I have a lot of bombs, but if I can grab 20 here, I might just take the Volcana path instead. Note that the very first thought I've had has potentially changed the path of the entire run. Moving on, what's already happened? Well, I've already found bombs. I've got 7 total, which isn't a ton, nowhere close to the potential 31 that I could have, but it means I definitely don't need to steal them. However, past the bomb shop are a ghost pot full of money and a turkey near a locked door that leads to some treasure, which we can only get if we bomb our way through the shop, angering the shopkeep. While the guy holding the key to the door won't give it to me for free, the freeze ray the shopkeep is selling will let me get it through other means. Okay, we're definitely stealing the bombs then, but how? There are 4 main options here. 1, grab the shield and simply crush the shopkeep. This is a pretty reliable option, but it would crush both the gun and the gold he drops, and I might accidentally blow up the bombs in the process. Option 2, hit him with the freeze ray. This is a much safer and more rewarding option. The bombs aren't at risk, and I get the shopkeep's money. However, the game has a reputation system. Once you make the shopkeepers angry, they'll stay angry and spawn a guard at the end of every level. You can gain forgiveness by not harming any of them for a specific number of levels, but while theft or assault only requires 1 level for forgiveness, murder requires 5. So how about a non-lethal approach? Option 3 has me grabbing 12 of the bombs and running to the conveniently nearby exit. I only get half the bombs, and I don't get to make my way to Yang and the ghost pot on the other side, but I might be able to appease the shopkeepers and avoid having a bounty on my head. Option 4 requires me to spend a rope, but it stuns the shopkeeper, conveniently letting me grab all 24 bombs as well as his gun before running out. But that's not all. I still have to consider which of the 3 weapons available I'll take if I defeat him. The freeze ray is mostly just a worse shotgun, so that's out of the question, but the shield is arguably better, being able to push enemies out of the way without a firing cooldown, and not running the risk of having my bullets deflected. However, it also deflects enemy bullets, meaning that if I only stun the shopkeep and try to seek forgiveness, I might accidentally injure him with his own bullets, making the whole forgiveness idea fall down the drain. On the other hand, it would make a lethal approach a breeze, so giving up on forgiveness and taking the shield looks incredibly appealing. But if I take the freeze ray, I can deal with the larger enemies immune to the shield, and okay, I'll stop now. This isn't a video about stealing from shops, although I could totally make one if I wanted. I just need to communicate the sheer number of factors that goes into the decisions you make in this game. There will always be a shop in the second level, and every time you see it, you have to make this choice. Sure, most of the time it's not quite this complicated, but remember that you'll be seeing upwards of 10 shops in a full run, and all of them can come with this kind of decision attached. And if you were wondering, I chose to freeze and kill him and then accidentally blew myself up 2 seconds later, so none of it even mattered. Welcome to Spelunky. There are way more examples of unique choices and optional challenges to complete in a run. I didn't cover all the nonsense you have to do to reach Cosmic Ocean, or the infamous eggplant runs, which are apparently the only thing some people know about this game. These are the ultimate boredom killer. If I ever get tired of one path, I'll take another, or I'll take both, or make my own type of run where I rescue every single pug, or don't collect any gold. That second one's an achievement, actually, it sucks, don't do that, the gold is literally invisible. This variety is a key part of what makes the game so replayable, and adding on the random level generation on top of it, so all the crazy locations will be different every time you see them, causes so many unique situations that I can't even cover half of them here without pushing this video over an hour. I completely forgot to mention level moods in this section, where the lights will go out, or a snake pit will appear, or aliens, but if I did that, I'd also have to start going over the items, which can vastly change movement in the case of climbing gloves or jetpacks, or trivialize combat like the shotgun or Excalibur. I have so many things to talk about, which is a massive testament to the sheer amount of content packed into this game, but if I did that, we'd be here all day, and I have one more thing I need to cover before this video is allowed to end. After all, while all these things are parts of why I keep coming back to this game, there's one final reason I landed on in the end that I think really gives the answer I've been looking for. When I play Spelunky, I feel like I'm good at video games. Or, well, I feel like I'm good at Spelunky, at least. And I am. I may not have beaten it, I'm not the best, but there are moments where I feel like there's no one better. Moments where all the time and thought I've put into this game comes together and finally pays off, sometimes through reaction-based run-saving bits of platforming or gradual knowledge-based progress that helps me move forwards. There are so many tiny intricacies in the way Spelunky's systems interact with one another, little things you can do to get even more out of a situation than you might have otherwise. I could make an entire video talking about this kind of stuff, but instead I'll settle for like the next 2 minutes or so. I don't know, here goes. The whip hitbox actually follows the whip, meaning it can hit stuff faster and higher up if you face away from the enemy. Cursed pots suck because they can almost permanently set you to 1 health and summon an invincible insta-kill ghost if they break, but they can also curse enemies, so shopkeepers and the boss at the end of the dwellings can be killed super easily. Speaking of that ghost, while he does insta-kill you on contact, he also transforms gems into much more valuable diamonds, which is crazy helpful when it comes to increasing your score at the end. You can cook bombs to break the roof. This isn't really a Spelunky thing, you can do this in like Call of Duty and stuff, I think, but I'm good at it here. Kinda. Quillback does this. I don't know why, but he does. Explosive frogs become non-explosive frogs if you dunk them in water. A well-timed whip can catch the arrows from the arrow traps, rendering them harmless. Alternatively, these little critters can be used to activate their motion sensing. This lady has you do a whole crazy combat arena to earn a magic arrow from her. It is much easier to just explode her and steal it. There's almost no consequence. You can shoot the shotgun to increase the height of your jump. Or any of the other guns in this game, except for maybe the web gun. I'm not really sure that gun sucks and I never use it. Wearing Vlad's cape makes enemies generate a lot of blood, which will heal you more if you drink it with the Kapala. This makes whipping the pugs you save before actually saving them to drink their blood much better, but also don't do that, you monster. They also work great as meat shields for arrow traps. On the topic of Vlad's cape, the double jump is affected by bounce boots, giving you some insane vertical height. You can cheat at gambling by whipping the dice before they hit the ground, meaning you will only ever roll 6s or 1s, making it much easier to get the items these shops have locked behind rolls of 7. It also means you'll get Snake Eyes a ton. Oh well. Spelunky HD levels have a very small chance to play secret little chiptune versions of the normal level themes. These are great, and Spelunky 2 not having them makes me sad. This jump is possible. It doesn't look possible, but it is. Other players give a lot of reputation with the blood gods if you sacrifice them on blood altars in co-op. So, you know. And finally, clicking on the Pug Damsel option, a bunch in the Damsel menu select in Spelunky HD will turn the pugs into sloths. For if you want to rescue sloths, I guess. All of this comes together in one big jumbled mess in my brain to make me better at Spelunky. Well, not all of it, the sloth thing doesn't affect gameplay at all, and I'm pretty sure the Quillback lizard jump has gotten me killed more times than it saved me, but for the most part, these little interactions and mechanics all help me out in tiny little ways across so many different runs to just make me feel good. And that's why I keep coming back to this game. For run after run, death after death, every moment that I'm playing, I can feel the improvement I've made, the knowledge I've gained. I feel like I'm doing a good job. And I love that feeling. This isn't some big discovery, I've basically just explained a tiny part of intrinsic motivation, something that's been covered endlessly in several different video essays, but there's something special about the way Spelunky does it that's grabbed me like nothing else. Maybe it's the sheer amount of content, or the difficulty, or maybe something else that I didn't even think about. But even if I can't pin down the reason, I know the iron grip this game has on me isn't going to let up anytime soon. I won't be able to make another video like this for a long time. There isn't another game that I know as well as I know Spelunky, aside from maybe Street Fighter, but that's a hard maybe, and it's not quite the same. I've put so much time into these games, and to do the same thing with another series would take, well, minimum 700 hours, and I don't think I'm realistically going to end up doing that again. Especially since I'm still playing Spelunky. I'm not tired of the game, even after writing and recording and gathering footage for this video, and I don't know if I'll ever truly leave this game behind. It's just too good. But that's it. The Spelunky video is over, and I can move on to something else. Maybe I'll give that Street Fighter video a shot, we'll see. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you really enjoyed, and comment literally anything down below. I'm a bit more likely to reply on this video since, well, I love talking about Spelunky, if you hadn't noticed. But yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.